Oh, yeah. It's the Right Cut Live.
Yes, sir. We're back in black.
I'm Mark Contreras.
And I'm Colin, a.k.a. Mr. Right.
Even when he's wrong, he's still right.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back this week. Colin, you want to hit them up and tell them where they can find us?
Yes, sir. We're going to be on, like usual, we're on Spotify, we're on Podomatic, we're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, we're on iHeartRadio, we're on Buzzsprout, all those good places. And, of course, if you like us and you want to give us a little donation, small donation of $3, $7, or $10, you can go on Patreon and do that for us.
Well, let's get it started. Just to recap a little bit from last week, encourage you to go back and check out the last podcast. Give it a listen. We started our top 10 series that we're going to be doing this past week. We did top 10 on greatest NFL coaches of all time.
Yep, and we're not going to be getting into that this week simply because it's Super Bowl week. We're going to be covering that mostly, but we're going to hop into the top 10 most likely. Just start from of course, the beginning position of quarterback and just go from there.
The most important position?
That's water boy.
So, anyway, we want to start this week off, and of course, we mostly talk about football. Football is king for us, but as the season winds down, we're definitely going to be hitting up on recruiting, the combine, the draft. We're going to be hitting up on a lot of that, but this week is just a unique week. Of course, the Super Bowl we talked about last week is a little bit boring to us for the first time, and probably since last year when nobody in Louisiana watched the Super Bowl. But this week, of course, we had the tragic week of Kobe and his daughter and the others that lost their lives on the helicopter.
Yeah.
So, just want to give a tribute. I grew up watching Kobe. To me, he was the closest thing to Jordan, all the nonsense. Not hating on LeBron, but he's just not the same type of player.
No, and as for me, I mean, Jordan was my favorite player because obviously I watched highlights of Jordan, and he was just, in my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of others, the greatest of all time. But Kobe was one that I got to watch.
Yeah.
Actually, growing up, I actually got to watch Kobe,
yeah,
and that was pretty much the Jordan for me.
Yeah.
Growing up, being able to watch him in real time. I mean, you watch, like you told me this morning, and I've seen it before as well. You watch side-to-side gameplay from Kobe to MJ. They were really the same type of player.
Same moves. There was a video that was out that showed it would fade out. It would start off with Kobe, and then it would fade off to Jordan, and it would fade back to Kobe, and they were doing the exact same thing. So the things that you saw Jordan do on highlights back in the day was the things that you were getting to see Kobe do, and it was the exact same thing.
It really
real.
It really was, and I think two of the things that Kobe I guess you would say, I wouldn't say knocked, but two of the things that he didn't get recognized as much for was, one, he was as athletic as just about anybody that's come through in the league.
Yeah.
He just didn't show it as much, but you could tell when he wanted to dunk on somebody or just make one of the greatest dunks in the season, he was going to do it.
Yeah.
And another thing he didn't get credit for was defense.
Oh, like Jordan, he was a lockdown defender.
He was. He could be. He didn't get the credit for it because in today's,
especially now,
in today's game, even more so. But at that time, it was really Kobe.
Yeah.
But it was all about he scored so many points. That was Kobe's game. That was what he got recognized for. But he didn't get recognized for his defense, which he was excelled at as well.
Right. His work ethic was untouchable compared to anybody else, and that was the reason why he was as great as he was. The crash in itself, losing Kobe, I don't know. A lot of people are putting on Facebook that, there's people who die all the time, military people later in their lives. Listen, I'm not taking away from that. In my heart, I'm a patriot through and through. So I'm not devaluing that at all. I think it should be valued a lot more. But you also have to understand, especially if you're from Louisiana, that would have been the same thing if Drew Brees died or if Joe Burrow died.
Well, it's the fact of the matter of Kobe's a celebrity.
Yeah. So
he's a basketball player. Everybody in the world knows him. Yeah, it's military, and obviously they're important. Yes. They fight for our freedom. They fight for our country. They are very important.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
military is born in him too.
If you're infantry coming from, say, North Carolina, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are.
Right.
But everybody knows who Kobe is. Everybody grew up watching Kobe and following Kobe. Everybody knows them, and that's not trying to take away from any military.
No, not at all.
But
not at all.
it's just
salute them for sure.
Exactly, but it's just he was a celebrity. He was more well known. It's not that we're trying to take away anything from their deaths.
And like everybody else, he wasn't perfect. He had a couple of hang-ups. You know, his relationship with Shaq was had some turmoil in some points. Both of them had big egos. You know, he had the situation with infidelity at one point, but he turned out to be,
which I don't know if you saw, but as soon as literally a couple of hours after he died, that chick posted about how he was a felon. Yeah. Everybody saw him as a hero, but she saw him as a felon, which was absolutely ludicrous to do right after that.
Right.
I hope wherever she worked, she got fired from, because that was just insane to do that right after he dies.
No, too soon. Too soon. I mean, it's always too soon for that, but also too soon. But the same thing about it, he ended up being a great guy all in all. I mean, if we're going to fault people for their faults, all of us, but he really did great things. He did great things for the NBA. He did great things for the NBA globally. And, I mean, in other countries, they didn't know who he is. They know who he is big time, just like they did Jordan.
Exactly. And he was just one of those – he was one of those players that kind of, in a sense, molded the NBA into what it was and what it is.
He did great things for women's basketball, too.
Yeah, he did.
He did huge things for women's basketball. He was an advocate for that. And he had a huge life in front of him. I'll tell you what, the hardest part for me, when, you know, it hit me at first, I was in disbelief. My sister actually texted me and said, "Did you see that Kobe died?" I was like, "No, quit lying."
That was the same for me. Yeah. Gino, my brother, texted me, and he said Kobe Bryant died in a plane or a helicopter crash, and I was like, no, because I didn't get any updates on Apple News, Bleacher Report. I didn't get any updates, and I went and looked on Bleacher Report, and I'm like, it's not showing up here. And then I actually looked online for Kobe Bryant, and that was the first thing that popped up.
And listen, let's be legitimate, too. I know that there were other people on the helicopter, too, and it's like, well, it's not all about Kobe. But let's be honest about something. If it wasn't Kobe and his daughter dying in there,
you wouldn't have heard about it.
You wouldn't have heard about it, especially all the way over in California. The part that really hit me the hardest was, you know, when it found out that his daughter was on the plane too, and there were other kids too with other parents as well. But that part hit first, and it, like, she was 13, she had a whole life in front of her. And shucks, man, my daughter literally just turned 13 last weekend.
Yeah, I know.
So I mean, it hit me hard. I was like, oh man, life could just be gone in an instant. And so don't devalue because other people are. Don't get me wrong. Again, I'm all about the military, but don't devalue this because it's caused a lot of people to be awakened and realize that life can end instantly.
It has.
Tomorrow.
To be honest, I don't think I've ever seen, in my lifetime at least, I know a lot of celebrities, athletes, just big-time people have died, but just seeing, and it may be just the impact of social media today, but it just seems like so many people are affected deeply by his death.
I tell you what, another part that hit that hit me hard was watching Shaq's interview the other night. Man,
that was heartbreaking.
That was heartbreaking, and he said the same thing. He's like, "Listen, man, you know, you take for granted. You always think you're going to have another moment to talk to somebody else, to mend fences, to do those different things, but you don't. Now you don't have the opportunity to."
And that's the thing. I mean, I guess we just gonna get on a life tangent here.
Yeah,
just for a second. We're good. We'll get back to football in a minute.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is, and that's what I try and live by. I don't like to have a grudge held against anybody, even against me. Even if I didn't do something to the person and they just hold a grudge against me, I try and fix it that way. I mean, something happens to them, I don't have to live with that because it's not something you want to live with.
Right. There are a lot of people that are showing tribute to Kobe as well. A lot of players that you thinking, are you trying to grab attention or something? But I understand it as well. Some of the things that they're talking about.
You got to think how many players admired and grew up watching Kobe. That was their idol. I mean, even like I said, even me. I mean, when I was younger and I was kind of growing up, you like Kobe, but then you kind of started playing basketball and you're like, oh, Kobe's a ball hog. And then afterwards, once you actually started watching the game and paying attention to it and actually following what he did, you realized how great of a player he was.
Yeah, and compared to today's basketball, which on the next segment I'll talk a little bit about it, he played all basketball. So to call him ball hog, of course we had it at that time saying it as well, but he was a guy that had to have the ball in his hands and he was going to win for you.
Exactly.
So there was a difference than what we'll talk about in a little bit. But there was a couple things they were talking about doing, retiring the number 8 and number 24 all the way around in pro basketball for good. The other thing that which I'm good with that. You do that in other sports for other greats. But they were talking about changing the logo from Jerry West to Kobe. I don't know how I feel about that yet. I mean, I don't have anything against it, but at the same time, I'm like, it's the logo.
It's the logo. I mean, it's been the logo years
Since Jerry West.
I mean, I think I don't know how I feel about it either, but at the same time, everything changes.
Everything changes.
And I mean, if you're going to do something, at least it's done for a tribute and honor for the right reasons, not for anything else.
Right.
Like if we would put Colin Kaepernick as a logo for the NFL.
You're not supposed to say that name.
Dude, I have to say my own name. My name's Colin. I can't help it.
Hey, you can't say that other name along with it on this podcast.
But it's not. But that's what I'm saying. It's not like we're putting Person of the Year.
Right.
Joke.
Right.
Person of the Year as the logo for Time Magazine, or I don't know what I'm trying to say. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not like we're doing that. We're doing it because we're honoring Kobe Bryant. You're doing it because he was a great player, and he was one of the greatest of all time. And it's honoring his name. It's honoring his legacy. So, I mean, if they do it, I'm not going to say I'm going to be mad at it. I have no problem with it.
Not me either. So, staying in NBA for a moment, going to a lighter note, we got somebody who's playing for the Pels.
Finally.
And he's playing pretty good.
He is.
And I texted you about it after the Kobe situation, the Pels played right afterwards, and so I watched that game. It was one of the first ones I got to watch this season, really sit down and watch. And with Zion, I gave you a couple of things in a text that I thought about it, and I said, listen, the guy is a great player, and he's going to be a great player. There are a couple of things, some people say he's lazy, he's slow, and he's fat and all this nonsense.
Yeah.
That's not true, number one, but a couple of things you can see. He's only played a few games, so he's trying to get the speed into the game. That's going to come around. And it is the NBA. Let's be honest. It's not high school. It's not college basketball. So
you can't just come in and start dominating people like he did in high school and college. Right. You actually have to work back into it.
And Jason Williams said it a long time ago. Gary Payton and the other guys took him aside and said, hey, man, you don't go full out all the time in NBA. It's a long, long season. It's not like college.
Which is why he didn't last as long as most, because he always went full out.
Yeah, that's true. So with Zion, it was a couple things that I noticed. And, of course, in the first quarter, he had 7 offensive rebounds. No defensive rebounds, 7 offensive rebounds. But the 7 offensive rebounds were all off his own shot, which is good because he's following a shot, and they can't stop him from rebounding.
Which is one thing that we lack immensely is people following up their shots.
Yeah. But the one thing that I said that it needs to grow for him, and he'll get it because he's that type of player, unless he gets to NBA, to today's NBA.
Yeah.
But you were harped on it when you played ball. I was harped on it when I was playing ball, is that you play ball without the ball in your hands.
Yeah, that is very true.
And so when you begin to watch him, again, I'm not making excuses for him. He's young. He's just starting out. He's only a few games into the season. But he only moved at all when he had the ball in his hand. And he did get burned a couple times defensively, but he's still learning the speed of the game.
He is, and I think he mostly focuses on, from what I've seen, 2 things, at least offensively, and that's when he has the ball in his hands and when the ball is shot.
Oh, yeah.
When the ball is shot, he's running straight for the goal, which is why he usually gets a lot of putbacks. He's going for the rebound, which is what most of our team does not go and do. They're all running back. They're getting back on defense. Nobody's going in for the offensive rebound, which is what we need.
Right. Oh, and the thing about it was that he was lacking in that particular game. I hadn't gotten to see him in the other games, but that particular game, he was only going for the rebound. Like I said, the 7 rebounds that he had, offensive rebounds, were all his shots.
Yeah.
He wasn't getting any rebounds for any other guy's shots. So that's going to come.
Yeah.
As long as he didn't go Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony really started the league with, I don't play ball unless I have the ball in my hands. Carmelo didn't play defense. He did not move around for a pass. He stayed at the wing, and if somebody got in the ball, then he wouldn't pass it. He'd shoot it.
He was the
James
embodiment. No, I wouldn't even put him James Harden. James Harden actually moves a little bit, but I would say Carmelo is the pure embodiment of an ISO player.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely all he did was ISO.
Yeah, and I'll go even further than that. It is the embodiment of the way that the NBA has become through AAU basketball. AAU basketball, you get...
Oh, that was long before Melo.
But this is where it started. AAU basketball, they get the best of the best all to play. Yeah. And then you get the best player on that team, and they're who everything goes through. There's no team ball. It's not like women's college basketball, which still plays poetically if you ever want to watch real basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is you create this superstar, and nobody else is being developed. And then it gets to the NBA, and you have these superstar teams where you only have one or two players that are superstars, and the rest of them are like, eh.
Yeah, that's very true.
So, I mean, that's really been my dig against the NBA for a while. It's because it's become that. I have a hard time watching,
it's
for instance, like James Harden.
It's all
he ain't playing defense.
It's all the me mentality is the problem. It's not about the team, and people can say, oh, it's about the team.
No, it's not.
When do you ever hear anybody truly nowadays saying anything about all the teams playing great? I love the team and blah. No, it's all about I did this and I did this and I did this. That's really all the NBA is about nowadays, unfortunately, because NBA, obviously, as you can see, if you don't have a good team, you ain't winning junk.
It's true. You know, and now it's. Well, I mean, you look at some of the teams that don't get the spotlight that are really good teams, but they don't get the spotlight because you don't have that one AAU guy. You know what I mean? Miami Heat. Denver Nuggets,
Boston
Celtics. They don't get the exposure even, or anybody even really talking about them. And even the Portland Trailblazers, you know, we were talking about it earlier today. The year that they set the regular season on fire, they played as a team.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, Pels swept them the first round of the playoffs, but it was a team game, so you didn't hear about them. Toronto, even before Kawhi got there, they were dominating in the East.
They played team ball.
And
one team that's always done team ball the best, better than anybody else, San Antonio. They never really, I mean, obviously you had your Duncan, Tony Parker,
Ginobili, but they were all part of a role. They weren't like this. You weren't
going to have
like
a guy who's putting up
50 points.
It wasn't like you had LeBron there or James Harden there that's putting up all kinds of points and stats. It was they all played as a team.
The other part about the AAU is when you begin to look at it, too, and the way the NBA has been watered down. James Harden's 15 Euro steps in a row and his 10 step backs on a three-pointer just devalues the NBA so much, man. I can't.
It does, because if I did that in high school, I was getting called for a travel.
You get called for that in bitty basketball, man.
You really do. And then when you miss the shot and somebody blows you a kiss from 5 feet away, then he complains that it was a foul.
Slapping himself in the face is great.
No, he slapped himself with a ball.
Yeah. So before we move on, I want to get away from the NBA. We're going to keep talking. But before we get on, I just want to send a shout-out to our friends over at Nova Nutrition on the North Shore, over behind Cafe de Monde, next to Panera. Go see them. Go get your loaded teas. Go get your healthy teas, your healthy shakes, your meal replacement shakes. Go see Jamie and Bubba. Go see the crew there. Tell them we sent you.
Hit them up. And one more thing about the Pels that I wanted to say.
Go ahead.
That I noticed, and I'm tired of it.
Yes.
I don't know if it's because of Alvin Gentry. I don't know if it's because of Alonzo Ball.
Does Alvin Gentry smoke a blunt every time before he goes on the court? He's always bloodshot.
He is. He always looks bloodshot and constipated.
Yeah.
But Lonzo Ball shoots way too many three-point shots. I like Lonzo Ball as a player. I think he actually fits us perfectly. He's an up-tempo guy that dishes the ball. He's an all-around player. He gets a lot of rebounds, a lot of assists, makes great passes, plays great defense. But my man cannot shoot a three-pointer to save his life consistently.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is, yes, he can go a game where he can go 6 for 6. But the very next game, he's going 1 for 7, just like he did last night.
Right.
But it's not like he just has a couple of games where he shoots really well and then one bad game. It's every other game. You can't shoot the ball 12 times and make 2 and expect to continue to win.
It's the NBA, man.
It is, unfortunately, but
no, I'm saying it's NBA. We should know better.
You should, but the thing is,
or you should be a better shooter.
He's like I said, he's a great player. Mm-hmm. He can be a great player if he would learn what his role should be.
Well, and it's been that way since Gentry's been there because Ball shooting threes as often as he does reminds me of Boogie Cousins shooting threes as often as he did. It's just made as much sense.
Facts. So I mean, like I said, and we've been like this since day one of Gentry becoming a coach. Never been a big fan of Gentry. Still not a big fan of Gentry. I don't think he's all that great of a coach. I think we need, because when you look at him, it's like he just sits there, crosses his arms, and he just watches the game.
Bring Scott back.
I would like Scott. Byron Scott?
Mm-hmm.
No, Byron Scott wasn't that good of a coach either. He's a better player.
He got him to the playoffs.
Yeah, I could get him to the playoffs with Chris Paul too.
Yeah.
Freaking best overall point guard of all time. Argue with me, see what goes down. No, if I'm be honest, he was about the same caliber of coach, but I think he was just a better person fit for our team, Monty Williams.
It's true.
I would like Monty Williams back as a coach.
I'd take Monty over Gentry, honestly.
Because I feel like the players would play more for Monty Williams.
If you could somehow get the coach from Boston away.
Yeah, okay. Like that's ever going to happen. But anyways, I think that's enough about basketball. What's next on
NBA basketball?
Basketball.
Just want to touch on 2 things with LSU now that the football season's over with. Basketball has already kicked off. LSU basketball, they're red hot. They've been winning a lot of close games. And with their close games, they'll have teams just completely demolished and then end up winning by like 1 or 2 or winning with a buzzer shot. And actually, Will Wade went off on them this week and like, look, man, stop making everybody have to take heart medicine at the end of the game. Just
that is mostly because, and this seems like just even the Pels do this, but they go in these stints to where they cannot make a shot. And it's not that defenses played really well or this and that. They start making really dumb decisions to where it's like passes are ill-advised. They throw inaccurate passes. They make dumb decisions. They take dumb shots. I literally watched, I think it was Smart. He walked down the court. There was nobody down there. He was by himself, a 1-on-4. He jays up a 3 from 5 feet behind the three-point line. Why in the world would you do that?
He's not that great of a shooter.
But I'll tell you what the problem is. We don't have a good point guard. I watched them play against Texas. Yeah. We do not have a true point guard.
Smart as a 2 guard.
He is, yeah. And we're trying to put him at point guard, and we just don't have a good point guard.
Honestly, and it's because he played so well in that one game last year at point when Waters was suspended. The thing about them too is they're actually playing really great. So I know most of everybody that the football season lasted forever, longer than it ever has. You know, we're celebrating. They're into the season. They're actually ranked again, which they weren't ranked earlier in the season.
Which we should. I think we're actually winning big right now. Yeah. We should actually go up in rankings or something.
Yeah, and they're ranked 22nd as of right now. They're 6-0 in conference ball, which is really huge. And they all of the SEC in basketball, except for maybe 1, 2. It was basically like bowl games when they did the SEC Big 12 Challenge.
Yeah,
they went ahead and housed up the Big 12 in basketball.
They did. They've been playing really well, but hopefully they stay consistent.
That's right. The other thing is about to kick off is LSU baseball. I will hit you with LSU baseball stuff here and there. Just to let you know.
Yeah, I'm not big on. Well, no, I'm not saying I'm big on it or not big on it. I just don't know much about baseball. I don't follow baseball. I'm more of a basketball, football kind of guy.
And I'll hit it up because it's LSU, and I'll just throw out some stuff, especially as the season goes along, as we're getting closer to Omaha and SEC tournament, stuff like that. I'll definitely hit up more. So there are some times I'll talk about the pitching rotation or where we're struggling at, but that's about it until big time goes.
Facts.
So another shout out real quick before we get on to LSU football.
We talking about them Nolans
Sports. Go see our friends Mike and Tammy.
3 locations.
3 locations. 1 in Hammond, one in the French Quarter and one in the Mall of Louisiana. Go see them. Get anything you need, sports apparel. And
dude, they got some of that national championship stuff.
They do. They got a ton of it. They
Dude,
have some
go
limited
hit up
edition
that national.
stuff too.
Go hit up that national championship stuff. That's some good stuff right there.
It is. I just went in there.
Dude,
today.
we might not be there until 2053. We got to get it now.
Hopefully, we'll win it again sooner than that. But they got all the national championship apparel. They also even have Super Bowl apparel. If you just love the Super Bowl, you want to celebrate Super Bowl, or if you're somebody who's a 49ers fan for some reason or a Chiefs fan, they have all that stuff there too. So
Facts. Go
hit
get
them
it.
up. They even have, unfortunately, if you're a Clemson fan, they got shipped in some Clemson beanies. And if you want those,
If it's anything like their mascot, I ain't buying.
no, it's much better than mascot. By the way, speaking about their mascot, you really need to go back and listen to the We Are the Champions podcast and hear that bit that Colin put together on the mascot. It was great.
It was facts. It was good stuff right there.
So LSU football, really quickly. I'll say really quickly.
Really quickly, we're about to talk a little bit about this. You know that.
Yes, that's right. So one thing they talked about it was, LSU's losing these coaches and these players and all this stuff. Number one on the players, the only question mark, if you follow LSU football at all, the only question mark on the roster, of course, you're going to have a step down from Burrow to Brennan. And let's be honest, unless they go crazy and go get another transfer quarterback, which I don't want Ramsey from Indiana.
Like I told you before, I don't want any transfers at all.
I didn't even want De'Aaron King, and
No.
I know how great of a player he is.
No.
I want Brennan, who's stayed there, to have his opportunity.
Exactly. I want him to have his opportunity, and everybody behind him can be just as good as potentially in the starting role. That's we don't need any other transfers because we have so many good quarterbacks already on the roster.
And everything else is sick. The only question mark that you're going to have on is going to be on the offensive line. You're going to be bringing back one starter, which is Austin Deculus, but you have quality guys at both guards and at the other tackle position. The only question mark you're going to have is at center with Cushenberry going.
Exactly.
You have two young guys, one with limited experience and one who's going to be a freshman coming in. So that's really your only question mark. On the coaching part, we've talked.
Hashtag
Brady.
Who's the DC now?
Oh yeah, we'll get into that in a second. But on the offensive side, talking about Brady, they're going to, and Coach O talked about it. They're going to bring in an offensive guy to be there with Insinger. Coach E is the offensive coordinator, and so when you see reports saying, "Hey, are they going to get an offensive coordinator?" They have the offensive coordinator. Just to remind you, Brady worked with the receivers.
Exactly. I mean, he developed the receivers. He
did a
helped.
great job.
He helped with the RPO,
Yeah.
which was
brought schemes
immensely great for us, obviously.
And
But he was the wide receiver coach.
Munoz was a guy that I expected to take the position, get the position, but
As of about a week ago, we thought he was going to be at Baylor.
Yeah.
But as of now, that question mark's actually up in the air.
Absolutely. And Coach O said he's going to take his time. And let me explain this to you real quick. He's going to take his time till after National Signing Day, the real National Signing Day, which is next Wednesday.
February 5th.
February 5th. He's going to go after that, and then he's going to see about getting that offensive guru to fill that position. And he even said it. He said Munoz is still in that position to possibly be there if he doesn't get the guy that he wants. And Munoz did the smart thing. He took an opportunity to go to Baylor and take the OC position there,
Yeah.
which is a payday, which is a guarantee. So he couldn't sit around and wait, and then if that position passes up and Coach O goes with the guy that he wants, if it's somebody else, then he's stuck in the same position. He passed up a good job.
Yeah.
So it's smart on both ends. And
But also, you got to think.
still bring him back.
And the thing is, you also got to think Joe Brady's in the NFL right now.
Right.
Was he an OC?
No.
No. And that's the thing. If you go play for Baylor, and I know he could make the offense great, but you're expected in the Big 12 to have a great air raid offense.
All the time.
You're expected to do that.
Yeah.
You're not expected to do that at LSU.
Yeah.
So if you bring in just as good of an offense next year, maybe not. I mean, obviously, we're probably not going to have as great of an offense next year as we did this year.
Yeah.
We had a historic season
Right.
in every facet of the game. But if you bring in just as good, especially just as good of a passing offense to LSU next year, you could end up in the NFL.
Right.
It's thinking more future than the here and now.
Right.
Oh, I can go get an offensive coordinator position here, but if I come here, prove myself, I can have the possibility because Coach E's not going to be there forever. Yeah. So you come to LSU, you have the possibility of showing what you're all about offensively, possibly actually taking over for Coach E if he were to retire, and then actually showing yourself to prove that, hey, maybe you can go to the next level to the NFL.
Absolutely. And Coach E's not going anywhere unless he retires. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's the thing. But, I mean, he's getting up there.
Yeah.
After this past year, it was an emotional roller coaster for him. Yeah. I really wouldn't doubt if he retired soon. Yeah. Just to be with his family.
I'd give it 5 years.
Maybe.
Yeah. Now, see, with Munoz, too, you need to understand something. He was an analyst. He wasn't even the on-field coach. He's an analyst. And speaking about analysts, 2 other guys left the program yesterday and today, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And they were analysts, too. So something you need to know before you get all up in a roar like, oh, we're losing this, we're losing this. These are analysts. And they're getting an opportunity because of the success that LSU had this year to be able to be on-field coaches. They weren't even coaches. They were analysts. And so you – Just know it's going to be absolutely fun on the offensive side. Just like this defensive hire that we're going to talk about, Coach O is going to vet the situation, find the guy that he wants to be able to do what it is for the vision for the team offensively.
That's the thing. I don't think people understand and realize Coach O saw all this coming.
Yeah.
He knew about all this before it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And he's had a plan since then. He's already said they've got a long list of candidates that they're going over. They've been having a long list of offensive and defensive guys. Obviously, defensive, they don't need it anymore, which they still will need positional coaches because obviously defensive line coach left.
Yeah, and this defensive coach will bring some money in too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And speaking of the defensive hire, Bo Pelini, welcome back.
I think honestly, out of all the candidates I saw, obviously, who I've wanted out of everybody that was, I guess, mentioned or the could-be's, the 2 people I wanted were either Bo Pelini or Chris Richard.
Yeah.
Bo Pelini is going to bring the defense we've been wanting because, obviously you're used to LSU defense, but LSU defense – in my opinion, has not been the LSU defense that it used to be in the past couple of years.
It hasn't been as dominant as it was under Pelini since Pelini left.
Exactly. It's just kind of been mediocre. We've had a lot of good players, and we have a lot of talent on defense. It seems like we haven't been able to put it fully together.
And before you dispute that, what he just said about it being kind of mediocre, go look at the stats before you start throwing stuff at us. Go look at the stats. Look at the point score per game, the rushing yards, the passing yards, all those things. And it's a more aggressive defense. Now, the only thing that you're going to have to look at that you may have concern about is that he's a 4-3 guy, and Aranda was a 3-4.
And that'll help us even more.
But you have the athletes to run that defense.
You do.
Hands down.
You do. And that'll, like I said, that'll help us more. I understand, it's a different type of defensive schemes and stuff like that, and people are starting to go to the hybrid safety looks and the like Georgia, the 3-1-7s and stuff like that. And it's just these crazy defenses. Look, in my opinion, the simple, easy to run, best defense you can run is the base 4-3 defense.
Yeah, because you can do so much out of it.
You can.
There's a reason why Tom Landry made it so high on my coaches list. He created the 4-3.
Yeah.
So with that, too, I tell you, with Bo Pelini coming in, when you look at some of the players that he coached back in the day and you saw how not only how successful they were at LSU, but then when you look at how that when they got into the league, because he put a lot of guys in the league, a lot of guys
and
defensively.
How unsuccessful they were in the NFL. Some of them.
No, he had a ton of them that were extremely successful.
They had a ton of them that were successful, but they had a ton of them that you just saw how great of a coach he was because say like your
Ali Highsmith.
Your Allie Highsmith, your Glenn Dorsey.
Yeah.
At that time. Great player.
Yeah.
Obviously, probably one of the best LSU defensive linemen, maybe one of the best defensive tackles in NCAA history. I'm not going to say he's way up there, but one of the better ones in NCAA history. But just when he got to the league, and I know The Chiefs just didn't use him right, just like they did with Tyson Jackson.
Yeah.
But he wasn't even close to successful.
Well, and you also had Ricky Jean-Francois, who played an amazing career. He wasn't a superstar. He had played an amazing career.
Yeah, he was solid.
You also had, now I can't think of his name. He retired year before last for Buffalo, defensive lineman. Anyway, I can't think of it. But Kelvin Shepard played 13 years in the league with
We're
this
talking
guy.
about Kyle Williams?
Kyle Williams. LaRon Landry. Now, I know because of his steroid use in the NFL, he kind of got marred. But when you look at how he played early on before
when did Pelini leave us?
Who?
Pelini.
After the last championship that we won.
When was that, 11?
Yeah. No.
No, 07.
07, yes.
07, okay.
Yeah. So, Craig Stelz played for him. LaRon Landry played for him. I could tell you this defense that he's going to bring in, look out for somebody like Jacoby Stevens jumping all the way up into a top 5 in the draft next year.
Yeah.
Unreal.
He's gonna be sick.
And listen, the 3-4 and the awesome defensive linemen that you've had this past year and coming back this year as well at with Aranda, look at how he was able to use the defensive linemen so greatly, and the linebackers too.
Yeah.
When Pelini was there, it was huge, man.
It was, and I mean, like you said, we have the two main ones that obviously come to mind are Shelvin and Logan. But we have so many great players coming back, and the defense, I think that we played this past year accented some players, but I feel like a 4-3 defense will just make the defense look better as a whole.
Yeah.
Like you have Logan and Shelvin in the middle plugging up the holes.
You have the ball.
You have the linebackers able to just do what they need to do, whether they cover the spread of the field, whether they blitz. And then you have your two safeties, which is really, other than the run game at times, the main way we got burned was deep.
Yeah.
Mostly this season was deep. Was because I don't really want to put it on a player. I'm actually more going to put it on the scheme.
Yes.
And I understand Delpit's a great athlete. He is. But it's far few and in between. It's not Ed Reed sitting back there.
Right.
You can't just put a one safety high and expect him to cover
everything.
Sideline to sideline.
Tell you what, Mo Hampton really has me excited.
He does. He's going to be a great player.
Yeah.
I think with him, and then the amount of freshman talent that we have coming in
Unreal.
This year, and then the commits, who knows if they sign, but next year as well.
Yeah.
That we have so much talent that's coming in, and that we already have on the roster. That people are freaking out now, but I think they're gonna come to realize after the first 2-3 games, dang, we might actually have a just as good, if not better, of a team as we did last year. Because I think, obviously, like I said, offensively, we're probably not going to have as good of a team, but the defense is going to pick up more to where the offense doesn't have to do as much.
I don't think the offense is going to take a huge step back in any sort. Like I said, because the only question mark that you have is at center. And that you got all off season and all spring to be able to fix that and get that solidified. I think everything else is going to be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't realize until I was looking up yesterday, Racy McMath's going to be a senior.
Is he really?
Yeah. I was so excited. Like, hey, we got a couple more years of this guy.
Here's the thing. Senior year, he's got to make it count.
Yeah. I think Booty is going to end up taking over him or Trey Palmer. I think Trey Palmer is a heads up right now for the slot position where Jefferson was.
No, Booty is going to take
I think Booty's
going to
take
position.
But I think Palmer is, as of right now, the lead. And then you also got Devontae Lee. But you, obviously on the edges, you're going to have Jamar Chase and Terrace Marshall.
Of course.
And then when one of them gets tired, Racy McMath. I mean, that's a sick. And then you're going to have Gilbert at the tight end. Gilbert's going to take over a tight end as soon as he comes in.
Pretty much. I mean, yeah, especially with Moss gone. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Pettigrew's okay. But
you got a couple other cats that are serviceable, but they're going to play more of a Sullivan type role.
You know who Gilbert reminds me of, as far as maybe not an NFL comparison, but a current day college comparison. He looks a lot like your boy from Florida.
Oh, Pets.
And
was it Pettis? One of the two. But
I can't remember his name.
Pitts,
but
maybe?
He killed us.
He killed almost everybody.
He killed everybody. And Evan and what's your boy's name again?
Which one?
Tight end. I just forgot it. And you
Gilbert?
just said Gilbert. Yeah, Eric Gilbert reminds me a lot of him. And if we can utilize Gilbert,
Oh, you're going to.
kind of like we did Moss, even more, we're gonna be. I don't see why we wouldn't be unstoppable.
Well, and the thing about it is you're still going to have the same scheme. You may not have Brady there, but you're going to have the same scheme, the RPO on the spread. And so you're still going to have to cover 5 receivers. It's just almost impossible to do, especially the way that we're doing it layers.
Yeah.
I don't see it slowing down a whole lot.
I don't either. I think we're gonna be just fine next year.
I think the toughest 2 games next year, of course, Bama's always going to be a tough game.
Always.
I think Texas is going to be a tough game because it's early in the season, and you're playing a cupcake right before them.
You are, and I think this is pretty much, I mean, last year you had a lot of people coming back. This year it's a brand new team. So they're going to have to get their feet wet, and they're going to have to try and figure out their game quick.
Yeah. And listen, I do think another thing about this team is because I think they're going to have a chip on their shoulder offensively, saying, yes, we are still going to be that good. We don't have a Heisman Trophy quarterback.
I think Brennan's I think that's the good thing about Miles Brennan. I think he's going to go in with a chip on his shoulder because he's been sitting behind Burrow. He finally gets his chance, and then people were saying, oh, LSU needs to go after a transfer, and I think he's just going to have a big chip on his shoulder, and I think we're going to end up doing just
and here's
fine.
the thing, too. I know you got lightning in the bottle with him. You had a transfer before in Etling, and the whole time we had Etling in there, everybody was screaming, put Brennan in. You had a transfer before in Mettenberger, who did great. But here's the thing, and I understand sometimes the transfer works out for you better, especially with Burrow, and you got lightning in the bottle there.
True.
But if you're going to go just rely on that all the time, why even recruit quarterbacks?
Exactly. Especially as many as we have right now.
Yeah. I mean, right now it is quarterback paradise.
It is. I mean, it's not like Brennan was this 2-star quarterback that's just been sitting back there.
No.
He was a 4-star.
4-star, broke every record in Mississippi, broke all of Brett Favre's records.
Yeah. So, I mean, the dude has potential. We saw the potential he has this year playing when he was able to.
Yeah.
So,
dude's got a cannon.
Exactly.
His arm talent, arm strength is actually better than Burrow.
It is. The only thing he lacks of, obviously, the 2 things that come to mind is obviously going to be the athleticism, which he still has some athleticism. But athleticism and definitely, which obviously this comes with just playing the game, is decision making.
And I think that's going to be a lot with leadership too.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think he's going to be just fine. You know, the running back room is going to be crowded and fun. That's going to be a hot contested battle.
It is.
Which I love it. Anybody that gets to start, I'll be happy.
Oh yeah, for sure. Whether it's Emory, Davis, Price, or Curry, whatever.
Yeah,
they're all going to be good.
They're going to be great. I don't think either of those guys are going to hit the transfer portal. I think they're all just like this year going to have the opportunities to keep playing.
Facts. You want to talk a little bit about the upcoming signing day, the couple of commits we have, and
hit up those 2 commits, dude.
So
number 1 is the running back, 4-star running back. Now I can't think of his name. Pull it up real quick.
Hold on. Let me get here.
And we also
we got old Cavontre Bradford, 4-star running back, who, in all honesty, I watched a lot of highlights of him. I think the main reason they went after him is because he looks a lot like Clyde.
He plays a lot like Clyde.
He does. He's very agile, and he's very fast, and he does not hesitate at the line. Yeah. He runs straight through, and he's gone. Yeah, he has a quick first step.
He's a one-cut, boom.
Yeah.
It's not Le'Veon Bell.
Exactly. He's gone.
It doesn't matter how your offensive line is. You give him one block and one little, what Gale Sayers, 6 inches of daylight, and I'm gone.
Exactly. And then you got another commit in wide receiver Alex Adams, which is just adding to the bunch. Yeah. I mean, we always have so many wide receivers.
Oh, by the way, Boutique made it up from a 4-star to a 5-star.
Actually, a lot of our commits moved up. I can't remember our outside linebacker commit's name.
That's because you're saying it.
But I think he moved up from, if I'm not mistaken, the numbers where he moved up from the number 196 overall player all the way up to number 51.
Yeah, that's huge.
And, I mean, we've had a lot of commits moving up in ranking, so Boutie's just another one.
And listen, with Bradford, you can go ahead and ink off. I don't think they're going after the other running back that's a troublemaker.
I hope we don't. I really don't. As far as
I think
he may be good and he may clean up his act, but I just kind of like the Saints. I like high character people.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, we may not win every game, and he may contribute to winning, but I like high character in the locker room.
Yeah, and this is the thing is if he doesn't play, is he going to transfer next season anyway? And you wasted a roster spot.
Exactly.
So and listen, he signed a letter of intent with Georgia, signed it, and then he backed out and they let him out of it. But this is the way the NCAA works. He can't sign another letter of intent, so he has to go on campus somewhere else, and then enroll, and then he can officially be a part of that team if he goes somewhere else. LSU showed that they were going to move on from him. I can't even think of his name right now. I don't really care.
Zach Evans.
Because it showed because their top two was Zach Evans and Bradford. And they said, you know what, we're going to go with Bradford.
Okay, yeah. And, I mean, Zach Evans was good. I watched his highlights too. Good running back. I didn't see anything that he did that Bradford didn't do or couldn't do. But just not to undermine them, but I think the one I'm most anxious about, and because it's kind of a question mark, is old Jordan Birch.
Jordan Birch, who committed to South Carolina, but did not sign with South Carolina. And I think a lot of that has to do with, number one, the coach is Muschamp. Number two, the coach is Muschamp. And number three, Muschamp might not be there next year.
Well, I think Muschamp had to do with it, but I think it was the fact of I really think it was the Bo Pelini signing and the fact that because I mean you saw like we talked about just a little bit ago, you saw the defensive linemen that he put into the draft, and I think just the potential of being able to obviously play for a 4-3 defense, so that's more linemen to go through a rotation. And B, play for Bo Pelini, who has developed a lot of great defensive linemen. Yeah. I think that, and obviously, like we talked about earlier today, he was saying that LSU was the hardest school to say no to. Then that was his runner-up.
That, and he came down for this visit this past week, and he came down on his own dime. It wasn't an official visit.
It was unofficial. Yeah. It was unofficial.
It wasn't one where LSU even send the money up for him to come down like they do all recruits. Don't get me wrong. That's not cheating and whatever. They pay for it. Everybody gets official visits that is paid for by the schools that's going to them.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going to flip over to Clemson. If he does, I'd be hugely surprised.
I would be too. I think it's going to be. I still think he's considering going to South Carolina.
Oh, yeah, I do too. He hasn't debunked that he's going there yet.
Yeah,
so.
I think this is just keeping his options open. He's not made up his mind.
The thing about the pros and cons for him, if I were to talk to him up at South Carolina, yes, he would get on the field immediately, but he is more of a rush defensive end in a 4-3. They're most likely going to put him to take over Kinlaw's spot in the middle.
Yeah,
and flash on the outside every once in a while. But if you come down here to the 4-3 that Bo Pelini's going to run, you're going to be on that outside.
Which you can be on the outside, and if you really want to be, he can stick you on the inside. It's not like you're limited to just playing on the inside.
You can move around like Ohio State did Chase Young.
Yeah, exactly.
Which we talked about earlier. Going to the draft is my fifth highest defensive player, even though they have him ranked as the best player in the draft.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with your list for sure. I kind of agree with it.
So, National Signing Day, the real National Signing Day, which it doesn't have as much buzz as early signing period, because now early signing period has become so prominent, but it's still the National Signing Day, and people like Birch and Evans are going to be there. There's a group of other people too, and I can't remember all the names, but it's going to be huge. Really quickly on the draft, now that I'm on it, defensively, who did we say? I said Derek Brown's number 1, Isaiah Simmons is number 2.
I think you flip-flopped that out. I think you said Simmons is 1 and Brown is 2.
And it might very well be it. And then
1A, 1B.
Kenneth Murray's number 3. Who did I say was 4? There was somebody else that said was 4, and Chase Young was all the way down to 5. And honestly, you could say, well, you're bashing Ohio State.
Maybe you said Chase on?
No, I didn't say LSU. But
it'll come back to me later.
Yeah, me too. But I've watched plenty of Ohio State football, and I watched him play, and I saw the games that he was shut down, and I saw the games that he wasn't shut down, and it just was not as impressive as the media has made it.
Well, it's not as impressive as the stats have made it because he broke some record for stats. I guess it was maybe Ohio State record for sacks. He got more than actually I think half of his sacks in a grand total of 2 or 3 games, one of which was against Wisconsin, who has one of the worst pass offenses in the NCAA. Another one was against some cupcake school. I don't even remember who it was, but I think he got 3 sacks in both. You mean
the rest of their schedule?
Pretty much. Yeah. But he got 3 sacks in both of those games. 6 sacks in 2 games, and I think he got a total of 16 sacks in the season. Yeah. So to spread 10 sacks over another 10, 11 games, that's not much.
I could see this. Somebody's going to overdraft him. He's probably going to go to Washington at 2, and you're never going to hear from him again. He, to me, is coming out. He reminds me so much of Rashad Gary coming out of Michigan last year. All hype, and you're like, we're watching the tape, and we're like, no.
There wasn't anything special about him.
No, and he may be a tick higher than Rashad Gary.
I think it's just it's honestly come to the point to where every year you have to put one edge rusher up there as this godsend that's going to save the franchise, and they just have to be up there. Obviously, they're good, but it's like you go back every year. Last year it was Bosa. The year before it was Garrett. The year before maybe it was Clowney. Maybe that was too soon.
No, Clowney was a few years before.
It was the other Bosa.
Right.
The year before, and then the year before that, I think it might have been Clowney. But it's like every year you have an edge rusher in top 3.
Yeah.
Whether they turn out good or not, that's yet to be seen. I mean, Clowney has been good when he wants to be. Mm-hmm. Joey Bosa has been good when healthy. Nick Bosa had a dang heck of a year. That's the only one I have agreed with so far. Myles Garrett's good, but it looks like his antics are going to get the best of him.
It's going to be an asterisk on his career, probably for the rest of his career, unfortunately. But you expected him to go into the league, be Von Miller, and he hasn't.
No.
This past year before he got suspended indefinitely was his best year.
Yeah, it was.
And
I mean, before he got suspended, he was going on for being Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah. He actually kind of had it at a landslide. But after that Pittsburgh game, I think that all went down.
Defensive line pass rushers in the draft seem to get overvalued like quarterbacks do.
Yeah.
And the ones that get devalued mostly are not offensive linemen, because somebody's going to take offensive lineman high. But running back always gets devalued so much. And I guess they just don't want to pay the guys that much because they know the careers might end up being 3 years or so.
I mean, some are saying Dobbins is going to be the first one, but from what I've seen, it's probably going to be Swift. But they have him going mid-20s, which is unreal. Especially for, like I said before, I've said it, that Dobbins is, in my opinion, the best back coming out of this draft and should be drafted no later than 20.
He has Zeke-like qualities, but he has a different speed to him.
Yeah, he does.
I tell you one guy that I wouldn't be surprised, and it's not just because we're from here, that there has been buzz, because he's graded as a late first round and early second round pick, is Clyde. And I wouldn't be surprised if there is a unlikely run on running backs in the first round, and he actually could jump people just like when guys got jumped by all the running backs he got jumped by.
He can jump, and if people were smart, they would grade him a lot higher than they are. Because I think you said late first, early second, but from what I saw, I think he was like the number 9 running back ranked.
Yeah.
Or something like that on somebody's board, which is egregious because I can maybe name 2 or 3 running backs for sure, that I might take over him, that and being Swift.
I'm not taking Swift over him.
Well, meaning draft status, draft stock, all that stuff. The three I would actually
say that the draft
would be more prototypical to draft over him would be Swift, Dobbins, and Taylor, obviously.
Yeah. And I don't see Taylor. I see Taylor dropping to the third round, honestly.
Taylor's going to be a system running back.
Yeah.
Honestly, if he's not in a system to where it fits him, he's not going to be a very good running back, in my opinion.
No. I think Wisconsin kind of hurt him. At best, he'll be a Melvin Gordon.
He will be.
I think he's going to be closer to a Monty Ball, though.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately.
So, it is Super Bowl week.
Super Bowl week already.
Before the Super Bowl, though. Shout out to Nova Nutrition. Shout out to Nolan Sports.
Nolan Sports.
Go hit them up.
So let's get into this whole Super Bowl antics thing.
I've really tried to get amped up and excited about this draft because this CMC, I'm already past it. The Super Bowl. And I wanted to do some research and
to be 100% honest, I'd probably say the Super Bowl in a whole has gone downhill. I'm trying to think.
I
maybe 4 years ago,
yeah.
It's really started to go. And obviously, just we're Saints fans. You can say what you want. I don't give a frick.
Christian cuss word.
Got it. But to go 3 seasons in a row, first obviously was our fault. We made a stupid play. Marcus Williams likes to tackle the black and gold. We lose the game.
He was tackling Metateo's girlfriend.
Facts. But that was our fault.
He said facts.
Yeah, that.
He didn't say a derogatory sexual term.
Oh, okay. I had no clue what you were trying to say, but never mind. I get it.
After this week, it's somebody getting fired for saying something. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, that was that season. The next season, obviously, the blown call, pass interference. That's how we ended our season. And you can say, oh, overtime, you should have won, blah, blah, blah. There should have never been an overtime.
Whip-de-doo.
There should have never been one. We should have kicked a field goal. We should have won the game. The game should have been over. We should have been in the Super Bowl.
The 2 most egregious calls in NFL history. Run the dang ball, throw the dang flag.
Exactly. And then the next year, yes.
Andrews Pete year.
Did the team play well
No.
throughout the game? No. But to end our game and our season on a play where there should have been a pass interference call, and you brought in the rule to be able to review pass interference because we got screwed by it the year before, is egregious.
It's egregious.
If we would have ended the game and they would have scored a touchdown, it would have been cool with me. I have no problem. But to end the game like we did last year, to where there was a blown call that was obviously pass interference, offensive pass interference, no doubt. You can't extend your arm and get separation. It's pass interference every single time.
What was the adjective you used?
Was it egregious?
Egregious. Next time we start talking about anything like that and we have adjectives that we want to use, I'm going to bring a dictionary and try to be Stephen A. Smith.
Okay.
Because egregious was great. It was a pretty big word for Southern Louisiana boys, but I want to be able to be as smart sounding as Stephen A. Smith.
Especially out here in L'Oranger.
Hussa, baby.
Hussa, baby. But that's what I'm saying. To end our seasons 3 years in a row, yes, as a Saints fan, I'm a little bit bitter. So I don't really want to watch Super Bowl. But I didn't really want to watch Super Bowl the year before that either.
I tell you what, and I'm not just, I'm always picking on. What you laughing at, man?
Dude, you almost look like you were about to take a plunge.
My chair was wobbly, dude. What you want?
Oh my God. Dude, you look like you saw a ghost.
It would have been great if we had the video already for that, but
oh, that would have been epic.
No, my legs were hurting, man. But I always joke about 28-3 and the Falcons and the Patriots Super Bowl, but honestly, that was the last good Super Bowl.
It was. When was that even? I don't even remember.
That wasn't too long ago.
I think it was
about 28-3.
I think it was 4 years ago, actually. Like
yeah.
I said, 4 years ago. After that, really, all the Super Bowls have kind of just went downhill.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch the Eagles and the Patriots.
Didn't really want to.
I say what I watched maybe till halftime. I don't even think I watched that much. Who did they play after that? Well, I definitely didn't watch the Patriots and the Rams.
That was such a dumb game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The Super Bowl is kind of.
I think it happened. I think it happened like that because at least maybe the Patriots belong there, but the Rams did not. And
Absolutely
I think that's why that was such a terrible game because the Rams did not deserve to be there.
You know, what's odd about this Super Bowl too is because everybody has got their what's the word? Anyway, you're just tired of seeing New England there, and you're happy that New England's not there. But then you have two teams, and my pick on the take it to the bank pick, so let me go ahead and say is going to be the Chiefs, and I want the Chiefs to win.
Same.
And because I like Patrick Mahomes or Kermit Mahomes. Did you see that meme?
I didn't see that meme.
It's
You'll have
great.
to show me that later.
No, it's great. It's Kermit speaking, doing his presser. It's great. Kermit Mahomes. Honey Badger. I really like Andy Reid. I think he is a quarterback guru, and I think it would be great for him to get it. I do like some aspects of San Francisco. I'm not a straight up San Francisco hater, but I don't really respect their team this year. So I'm
more tired of their dang
was the word I was looking
fans.
at. Yeah,
I really am. I know y'all might have some of y'all
Couple
fans
haters.
out there, but y'all a couple haters. Let me tell y'all something. When I'm a Saints fan, I don't care if they're going 3-13. I don't care if they're going 7-9. I don't care if they're going 16-0. I'm talking about the Saints all year long.
Yeah.
When y'all San Francisco fans, when y'all going 3-13, I don't hear a dang word out of y'all. When you going 7-9, I don't hear a dang word out of y'all. I don't hear anything until this year when y'all actually start winning, and y'all talk all kinds of trash and smack, and y'all ain't done nothing in 30 years.
You did go to the Super Bowl that one year in the Superdome.
And you lost.
Yeah.
Get you some.
Blame it on the lights in the Superdome if you want to. But either way, everybody, there's a fatigue for Dallas as well too. Just like that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, but
fatigue.
at least Dallas does it every year.
That's right.
It don't matter what their team is. They talk trash, and most of them don't know half of what they're talking about. But they talk every year.
Yeah.
They're consistent.
Yeah, they don't disappear and show back.
But if you disappear one year, I don't want to hear you next year when y'all winning.
My favorite thing is when you're looking at the stands. They show the pictures of the stands, and you have like 10,000 people in the stands the years that they're not in the playoffs.
Exactly.
And then
you
this
have
year,
a good 30, 40, 50,000 when they start winning.
Yeah, so
it just speaks to the fan base.
Yeah. Listen, ESPN did it was about 6 years ago. ESPN did a special on Atlanta and on Atlanta having the most fair weather fans in all of football. And listen, and this is not just me picking on Atlanta, even though I can, because they're the division rival.
Facts.
28-3.
Yes.
2-17, third quarter.
Always remember.
But never forget. But the thing about it, I give Atlanta a little bit of credit. Most of the people living in Atlanta are people that are moving from all over different places that are not Atlanta Falcons fans at all.
Yeah.
So I can understand that. But San Francisco, again, you don't.
But that's even the thing with Atlanta fans.
Yeah.
They still talking about their team no matter if they lose or win. They're consistent.
Well, they still talk. They only talk about the Saints.
Well, yeah.
But they're still talking. And they still say that they're Falcons fans. But
they still say something about the Falcons. Those San Francisco fans, I think they go bandwagon somewhere else. And then they come back whenever their team starts winning.
Well, and this is the other thing, too, about San Francisco fans. And those of you who are Rams fans that say that we're picking on other people and all that stuff. Listen, we've had
you
back
can
and
tell
forth.
those bandwagon fans because the only San Francisco jersey they have is Kaepernick jerseys.
Dude, why you got to keep bringing up that name on the podcast?
We're talking about San Francisco fans.
Golly.
They love Colin Kaepernick.
Anyway, man, you could at least give them Jerry Rice, Joe Montana, or Steve Young, something.
No, those are true fans.
Yeah.
I'm talking about bandwagoners that the last jersey they bought was when they went to Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'll just call him Colin because it's still a good name.
Yeah. So we might need to change your name just because of that.
See sizzle.
This is the thing about it. Those of you say, I've called out people for only talking about the Saints, and they're supposedly fans of other teams, which I believe they really are, and some of them really are fans of other teams. So, but this is the thing about we've gone back and forth with some Niners fans, and let me let you know, Philly is known for having the worst fans who threw snowballs at Santa.
That is true.
You have Chicago who has horrible fans that are just belligerent to people in the stadium. San Francisco is well known for being the same way in the stadium. being belligerent. But my gosh,
when they decide to show up,
right? When they show up for the playoff games. But by gosh, there has not been a nastier set of fans to even have conversation with than 49ers fans.
That's really true. I've tried to have conversations with 49ers fans, and you can't have a simple conversation about, like today, I was having a conversation because they said, is Jimmy Garoppolo the answer? I don't agree. I agree to the consensus of he's done his job. He's been a good game manager. I agree to the sense of, in my opinion, he reminds me a lot of Alex Smith. He just makes a little bit more mistakes as far as interceptions go.
Yeah.
People that are San Francisco fans, they came and just
quotation marks
blasted me because apparently he's the freaking best thing since sliced bread, the GOAT, the legend, the man.
I like the one that threw out some fake news stats.
Oh, that he ranked top 5 in passing yards?
Passing yards, completion percentages, and touchdowns.
Which I think in touchdowns, he might have been top 5. I think he barely cracked top 5. I think he was more like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Yards, he was number 12.
Completion percentage, he was down too.
No, he was actually better than most.
Was he? But he wasn't top 5, was he?
Yeah, he was top 5.
Okay.
But let's just point this out. My grandma could be top 5 if she threw crossing passes all game long.
Well, this is the thing, too. Like, again, fake news, if you're going to throw out stats, let them be real. Let them be true.
And if you can't take somebody having a different opinion than you, go somewhere else.
Gosh.
Don't try and comment on me, and you just can't take my opinion because I don't think he's a GOAT. I don't think he's a great quarterback. I think he's a decent one.
At right now where he's at in his development as a starting quarterback in the league, like you said, Alex Smith, I see that. One thing I do see is the early on Tom Brady. Now, when I say that, you can get your wig twisted there and say, well, Tom Brady is the GOAT. No. When you look back at the early career of Tom Brady, he was not a GOAT. He was a game manager who, yes, he ended up making great plays, and this is why I said he's close to. He's not there. He did make plays that most normal quarterbacks won't make at the end of games.
Yeah.
But the rest of the part was because of his defense and his team.
And that's the thing. People kept saying, you obviously don't watch 49ers games because look at where the 49ers were before Garoppolo. Okay. Look at where they were before 3 of some of the best defensive players that they got last year in D Ford, Quan Alexander, and Nick Bosa.
Yeah. Well, and
you didn't even have half the defense you had this year that you did last year.
Right. Well, that, and also look at where they were before John Lynch and Shanahan.
Exactly. No draft. They actually had some of the worst drafts I've ever seen. No great signings. And honestly, last year, Garoppolo went down, and you didn't even have a mediocre quarterback. C.J. Beathard is not a good quarterback. So to say that, like, hey,
he played pretty good, though.
Drew Brees went down, Teddy Bridgewater went 5-0.
Yeah.
Was Teddy Bridgewater the GOAT? No. He was a good quarterback that did his job. But it was the defense that won the game and Alvin Kamara and the fact that we had Michael Thomas to throw to.
I could compare him to Teddy.
I would even say Teddy might be better than he is.
I'll
need a little bit more to prove it, but I'm just saying. Jimmy G, the San Francisco offense is set up so much like the Patriots offense, it's not even funny.
It's funny. We hadn't even talked about the actual Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't really care about the Super Bowl. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I listen, as much of a football fan as I am, I'm going to, another year at the Super Bowl, it's going to be hard for me to watch the Super Bowl.
It is, and I think it more has to do with I can't take the refereeing anymore.
I agree.
The refereeing is so bad, and it's just they make so many bad calls, and they don't make so many calls that they need to make. It's just like, why do you get paid to do a job that you're not doing?
I said it last week too, with showing that the NFL is rigged. They knew ahead of time before the season started that this was going to be one of the most boring Super Bowls in history.
Yeah, hire Shakira, Demi Lovato, and J-Lo all to be in your Super Bowl show, so people actually watch, or at least guys.
Yeah, you got to get the guys' eyes.
Exactly.
And some women too.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's go ahead and do the Super Bowl picks. Granted, again, just to let you know that LSU has the most players per teams in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So go Tigers.
Go Tigers. So who are you picking? What's the score?
I'm going KC. I'm going 34-17.
I was actually close to what you said. I'm going KC, but I'm going 31-17.
31-17. I like it. I tell you what, if it does hold true that way and the Chiefs win, the Kermit Mahomes is going to reset the quarterback market.
Yep. You thought it was reset 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's about to get reset real big now.
Yeah. And the thing about it with him too is they're going to do that. And I know the salary cap's going up, but at the same time, you almost handicap your whole team if you give him that big, huge contract that everybody's talking about he's going to get.
He's going to get that big contract.
He is.
And you can't he's a once in a lifetime player. You can't let somebody like that go, honestly.
You will really find out how much of a great of a player he is
when you don't have as many players around him.
Yeah, when you don't have the playmakers around him because you can't pay the playmakers around him. So the other thing too, I did watch Maurice and the NFLPA say in 2021 when they have their renegotiations of the CBA, he said, listen, if the NFL players are trying to get everything that they want to go through on this, you might see a 2-year strike, a 2-year lockout. So,
I think it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're itching for a lockout anyways.
Yeah, well, and then this is the thing about it. This is part of the reason.
Hey, maybe that'll let me take a little break from football.
Well, it was that. Well, you'll take on college football a whole lot more too.
Yeah, for sure.
The thing about it is that is one of the things that's been detrimental to the downfall of the league in some sorts too, because they can't come together. And the rest of us who make regular money are like, these are $1 million crybabies.
They are. It's amazing that the salary cap goes up every year.
Yeah.
For the NFL, the NBA, all the sports, they keep going up. Why can't you spread the money elsewhere?
Right.
America's in billions of dollars of debt. Why can't you go put the money there? How can we keep going up in salary cap? How about the working class? How come you can't give them a little bit more money to work with?
And I'm all about that too. But what I'm saying is they're $1 million crybabies. Well, not everybody makes the big contracts. Yeah, but everybody in the league, even on the practice squads, make more than me and you 10 years combined salary.
That is true.
This practice squad, you're talking about Rudy. Rudy is making more than what we could make.
That is very true.
So, that part of it, like, man, get it together. Stop doing this strike, holdout nonsense. Honestly.
Dude, just take what you got. You got a good life. You make a lot of money. You play a sport that you, I'm sure, love to play. Because that's usually, some people, they might just play it for the money, but most players play the sport that they play because they love the game.
Yeah, and listen, don't get me wrong. I agree NFL is the most haphazard or hazardous sport that there is outside of hockey, maybe.
Pretty much.
And I understand that NBA and MLB make a lot more money, those players do. And most of them are guaranteed contracts. I do agree that they probably need to go into guaranteed contracts.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I think that should be the major thing they fight for.
Yeah, not more money and not this and not that.
The game can't be any safer than flag football right now.
That's true.
So, I forgot what I was going to say on that one too. But so the Saints, the draft we're going to be hitting up a little bit more too on the off season coming up. And then listen, don't forget to check out our next podcast too, where we're going to start up again on our top 10s.
We're going to be doing top 10 quarterbacks of all time. NFL quarterback.
NFL, yeah. Well, we might have time in the offseason to do college, but
true.
But mainly let's go with
we
NFL.
know who number one is.
Absolutely. So let's go with it. And don't forget to go see our friends at Nova Nutrition. Go see our friends at Nolan Sports. Hit them up. Tell them we sent you in.
And don't forget to check us out on Spotify, Podomatic, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher. And shout out to Ben Sound for the tracks. But other than that, you got anything else?
This is the Right Cut Live.
And we'll see y'all later.